morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Carbon Prop, and welcome to the first in a series of bush flight training videos. Basically, what I thought I would do with this is just go over some of the techniques you could use doing flights to short field and soft field strips. Things that I've learned and that might help you out too. Um, so we do a lot on our Discord channel and our website with regards to teaching and having multiplayer outings, and we're also doing a world flight. If you'd like to check any of that out, you can head over to our website, bushleaguelegends.com, and that will kind of direct you to our Discord channel and other social media channels. And you'll be able to download things like our group liveries, um, sceneries, and mods. So today I'm actually running a couple of things. I created this scenery called Gap View. It's a little grass strip, somebody's private property, and it's a lot of fun, and it's quite pretty around this area. I think you'll enjoy it. Um, so, um, the other thing that I'm running as well is Performance Plus. You'll find this under the mods section on our website. I created this after noticing some pretty big deficiencies in the way that the xCub has been performing when it was launched. So I've done little things like tweaking the rudder a little bit so it's a bit more responsive on the ground. It doesn't easily ground loop still, and I'm trying to figure out why that is. That'll probably be in an update. Um, some of the other things, it's a 180 horsepower engine. I've also added an 83-inch prop to its to the machine. It really helps cruise performance and climb performance. Um, and what was the other thing I add? Oh, we got the RPM issue figured out. So if you run just the default xCub and you run it at static power to full power, you might get like a little bit over 2000 RPM, like 2020 RPM, something like that. And then on takeoff, you get airborne, and it'll eventually, reach like 23, 24. It kind of like slowly gets there. So you're not really getting the bite of air that you need for short field performance. So when you normally take off, it seems like it's a 172 just rolling down the runway, and then eventually you hit 40 knots and get airborne. So Performance Plus changes all of that. And you'll notice a major increase in short field takeoff performance. And the other thing I added was an auxiliary tank. There's basically a bladder, a 25-gallon bladder that sits in the back seat where the second passenger would normally be, and it increases your range on the xCub dramatically. So it's going to be great for overseas travel and long-range travel. Anyhow, so today what we're going to do is I'm going to show you some techniques for takeoff. There's lots of fields and stuff out here, so we'll go out and try a few different techniques. And kind of give you an idea of some things you can practice on an airstrip. Um, yeah, so we'll get going here. I'm not going to bother going through any of the startup procedures. If you'd like me to do that down the road, feel free to leave a comment. You can ask whatever questions you want below. I'll add it to my list of things to put in new videos. Yeah, we'll kind of go from there. And I really haven't talked about myself. I'm a former airline pilot, former bush pilot. I've flown the Cessna Grand Caravan. Had about 3 years on that, I believe. Flown PC-12, Beech 1900D, and Q400, not as a bush plane, but as an airline plane. But yeah, I've done a fair bit of bush flying, and so I've got some knowledge behind that. All right, so let's get started here. I've got my battery master on, beacon nav on. I've got my throttle open just a touch, prop forward, mixtures forward. Both igniters are on and armed. And we'll go ahead and start the engine. Okay, that looks good. Avionics coming on. Landing light, strobe light on. Parking brakes are off. So one of the issues with tail dragger, obviously you can see out front here, is that you don't have a lot of visibility. So there are ways to change that. You can kind of pretend like you're raised up in your seat. If you have something like a track IR, or if eventually when you see this video, if they have the VR out, and you'll get a better sense that you'll be able to kind of look off to the sides, right, and kind of see down the nose and stretch your head a little bit. So it's tail draggers are difficult in that way in keeping center line. Some people will take off in this position. I love staying inside. So the best way to get visibility right off the bat in a tail dragger is to get the tail off the ground. So what we're going to do is I'm going to apply full power. I'm going to bring the tail off the ground. We're going to start rolling. I'm going to do a 1 flap takeoff on this one. So 1 notch of flap. I'll show you technique for 3 different ways. You can take off with no flap if you like. That's an easy enough one. The single flap takeoff, the technique is to get the tail off the ground, get airspeed alive, and then once you're reaching 40 knots is to rotate off the ground and get airborne. So we'll try that one first. Let's give it a go here. So I'll apply full power. You'll notice here with the mod I'm getting around 2500 RPM, and it is really pulling and twisting, which is good. So tail's coming off, release the brakes. We'll start rolling down the runway here. Airspeed's alive. And through 40 knots, pull off. There we go. And right off the bat, rather than over torquing the engine here, I'm going to bring it back maybe about 2500 or so for the climb. Get the flaps up, and then we'll just make a left turn here. Let's go find some fields to make a nuisance of ourselves in. Lots of open space over this way. So let's pick a spot out front. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you a quick technique here. Actually, I'll leave the landing technique for after. What I'm going to do is get slowed down. So this thing, you really need to pull the power back to idle and hold the nose off. So when you're getting ready to land, you might as well just target 70, and then you can put as much flap down as you want. So I've got 2 notches of flap there. That would be kind of for a standard landing. So if you have, a good crosswind, you probably don't want to do 3 notches of flap, just because you can get pushed off the runway pretty easily. So I've got 2 notches there. I don't know how long this field is, so I'm going to do 3 notches of flap. And I'm just going to keep it on idle. And kind of what we're targeting for here is to get it back just maybe between 40 and 50. 40 is the stall speed with full flap. We'll get it back to somewhere around 50. Oh, we had a nice uphill here. This is going to be awesome. I'm going to actually try and land on this area here. So we'll get the speed back. We're holding the nose, holding the nose, holding the nose. And we'll just keep holding it, holding it, holding it. And touch down. Bring the flaps up immediately. Hold the back pressure on the stick, and then you can brake until you come to a stop. So there's a nice short field landing. Go out with the drone. Yeah, so I could do it much shorter than that, but that's a pretty good demonstration. So now let's see what we can do from here. Whoops, dropping all my stuff here. So you'll notice here from out the front, we've got a house in the way, and we've got trees as well. We don't really know how far off that is, but we certainly don't want to hit it. So we're going to aim ourselves at it right there. So the next technique, let me think. You know what? Let me taxi a little bit here. The reason is I wanted to show you the 2 flap takeoff technique, and I guess I shouldn't put us in the position of kind of aiming at a house and a tree. So let me get turned around here, and make sure when you're turning in this, you're not turning too fast, because it will tip over if you're overdoing it. So you want to just kind of maybe not much faster than a walking pace is a good idea for this plane for taxiing. Okay, so what we're going to do is 2 notches of flap. Instead of pushing the tail off, I'm going to pull full back pressure, and then apply full power, and then release the brakes, and we're just going to hold it like that. Okay, so there's full power, release the brakes. 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, airspeed's alive. Okay, and just careful because you're going to be in a stall situation. Through 40 knots, flaps up, and we'll bring our power right back. There you go, just like that. So that was another technique. There's a gentleman, I don't know if he works for xCub, or I know that he flies xCub and does some tutorial videos, but there was one technique he taught to flight chops, I think it was, and that was one of the techniques, was a 2-notch landing, or sorry, 2-notch takeoff rather, and the technique seems to work pretty well. Right, so let's aim back here again, and let's try a different landing technique this time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it back to 70 knots, and what I want to do is do a steep approach. So I'm just going to hold the nose off here. We're going to get it right on the edge of the stall, and you're actually going to hear it start beeping.
500.
And when you hear it start beeping, you can add some power. There you go. Let's see if we can't. Okay, you're just going to hold it right on the edge of stall, and it's just going to gently come down to the ground. I might actually have to be very careful in turns here because I'm so slow. You probably wouldn't want to do this in real life, slow turning like this, because you could end up stalling a wing pretty easily, and that would be a bad issue. So this technique, what it allows you to do is touch down and get your flaps up at a nice low speed and just apply brake and just pull back as hard as you can. And there it comes to a nice quick stop. So this is a good technique for areas where there might be really high trees at one end of the runway. I can demonstrate it again. Do it one more time on our next landing. But basically, it gets you right back at the stall speed, and if you can kind of get it measured out right, it'll descend quite nicely, more in a vertical pattern. The landings tend to be harder, but it gets you down on the ground quick, and you can just hard brake and bring it to a quick stop. So this next technique, we're going to leave the flap up completely. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to accelerate, or apply power with brakes applied, get the tail off the ground, release the brakes. We're going to start rolling down, and then as soon as the airspeed comes alive, once I see it pop up, I'm going to drop all the flap at once and pull back. And you're going to see a really short field. So this is a great technique for ultra short. Okay, so I'm applying full power, getting the nose down, careful not to strike it. Airspeed is alive, full flap, pull back. And you want to just pop it, you'll hear a quick stall, and then you want to get the nose down immediately. So that's a nice, fast way to get this off the ground. Get your power back there right away, because it's got a lot of torque. All right, so go out and find another field here. Try this technique again on the edge of stall. I'm just going to pull my power back again, and I'm just going to drop full flap there. Hold the nose off. Okay, just keep holding the nose back. Get it slowed down. Oh, keep an eye on our, there we go. Keep an eye on our vertical speed. You see, that's a nice one right there. You see how quickly it's descending? It's going more vertical than forward. And there we go. That's what we're looking for. And if you need to, at the very last second, just before touchdown, you can apply a little bit of power just to arrest the descent. Touch down, get the flaps up, pull back, and then you get a nice short field landing, just like that. Cool. I think that's probably all I'm going to do for now. If you have any questions, again, leave a comment. Don't forget to subscribe. There's going to be lots more content, and check out our website, and join us on Discord. We love to see new people that are interested in bush flying, or any flying for that matter. Anyway, until then, I'm Carbon Prop. You have a great day. We'll see you again soon.